The family is the natural environment given for the human person to be born and raised. Notwithstanding cultural differences, the family is universally the primary reference community responsible for both the biological and psychological development of the person. Parents have the right, the responsibility, and the natural mission to educate and socialize their children. The opportunities provided for the growth and stability of the family reflects the health of the foundations of the entire society. For this reason, it is in the best interest of the state to assure the strength and protection of the family. However, presently, in many societies, the health of the family is often neglected, even threatened.
El Papa Benedicto XVI, en su discurso
in a speech given to the members of the Pontifical Commission in Rome, Pope Benedict XVI spoke about the family as the basic cell of society and as the heritage for humanity as well. Therefore, the fundamental function of states is to protect families, because the family is the natural society preceding the states. Unfortunately, in our continent, little by little, many states, let us say every state, has been considering the family as an association, not as a community. As a consequence, governments have assumed the right to regulate the intrinsic aspects of the family itself.
A crisis in society is unfolding, in values and in the family, not only in Peru, but also throughout the entire Latin American continent. Much of the responsibility over the last decades can be laid at the door of local politicians. Political decisions have increased social differences as well as rates of poverty and illiteracy. Too often, false solutions are legitimized. For example, the legalization of abortion to justify the failing healthcare system and the weakening of the structures originally intended to protect and promote the family.
Lo vemos claramente.
We can see clearly how these problems are affecting the continent, from Chile to Mexico, including the Caribbean. The crisis in values is reflected in increasing divorces, separations, fewer children, more promiscuity, the growing cultivation of an irresponsible life, less sincerity and very little transparency. Many groups, many bishops and many lay people are realizing that it is necessary to work on these issues. That is, they want to get back to the essential values of the family: sincerity, loyalty, and honesty.
The Church's concern about the family is not purely a religious one. The Church, by its very nature, is concerned about every social sector. The strategy is to make an objective diagnosis and then propose solutions viable for the benefit of the entire society. The Church cannot rest in its defense of the family. The Church is called to encourage and support everything which strengthens the family. A priority of this defense of the family is defending the life of the unborn. Subsequently, the Church's concern is to foster the formation of responsible citizens and a healthy society. An attack on the family is an attack on fundamental human rights, such as the freedom of belief and the right of parents to choose the suitable education for their children.
Ciertamente, hoy en día la familia está muy amenazada.
Undoubtedly today, the family is threatened by inappropriate interference from the state. For example, in Peru, during the 90s, we had the publication of several unsuitable sexual guides.
Del 90 con la publicación de guías de orientación sexual inadecuadas, o por ejemplo, con esta ley de la esterilización nefasta, ¿no?
Subsequently, the damaging sterilization law was introduced, by which giving the gift of life resulted in permanent mutilation. Thousands of poor women living in the fields and hills were affected.
Sobre todo humildes de nuestro campo, de nuestra sierra.
Concerned experts called that the strengthening of the family should be addressed through cooperation between professionals from specialized fields concerned with the family and a variety of political cabinets, including health, education and economy, in both the federal and local political landscapes. These same advocates for the family observe that there are powerful social sectors in Peru, and although a minority, these in recent years have been working effectively to dismantle several family protections. In response, a number of pro-family organizations have developed working systematically and selflessly to provide positive alternatives, to promote the family and build a better future. The family is not just a part of society, it must be considered as the fundamental natural community, the underpinning of society, whose rights are above political or ideological interests and as such require protection and support.
Una sociedad es un grupo estructurado por un contrato.
A society is a group structured by a contract with a specific goal able to be managed. It has a beginning and an ending. It has clauses which can be broken without difficulty. The state has to regulate society to help it live in harmony together. Conversely, the community arises naturally from the human person, comprising inherent characteristics, and is not guided by a contract. That is, it is a natural institution which has to be respected by the state.
Que debe ser respetada por el Estado.
The Church calls on politicians to lead according to their conscience, and that these conscience and informed decisions should be reflected in the decisions of the state. Legislators are called to adopt a position in favour of the family.
El Estado debe preocuparse por las políticas públicas.
The state must address public policies which consolidate the family, taking into account that the family is the basis of society. A well-organized and consolidated society gives rise to a fair country without favoritism. Our state, which according to our constitution guarantees the defense of the family, should foster the formation of and promote the family.
Promover la formación y la difusión de la familia.
Recently, an increasing number of Peruvian politicians have taken notice of family issues and who are increasingly working to promote laws with the best interest of the family and consequently the Peruvian people at heart.
Familia fuerte, ciudadanos fuertes.
A strong family creates strong citizens, formed citizens, children who walk the right road. The family is in charge of cultivating moral values such as solidarity, Christian charity, identity, truth, and respect for laws. These values are provided at home.
For these politicians, it is not enough to denounce the crisis in society and in families. Information and formation for individuals and couples is urgent. Here too, the Catholic Church is active, working to improve education, including civic education, to raise awareness of civic responsibility, and so encourage local and federal governments to work for the common good. The starting point for this education is in the family, a human formation to support couples and their children, to assure the healthy and complete development of the next generation. Despite this growing understanding of the needs for better education throughout Latin America and the considerable work of the Catholic Church in this field, the local church is often ill-equipped to respond to this demand.
Father Verenfried van Straten, founder of Aid to the Church in Need, never wanted to be a man of confrontation. Nonetheless, he was a fighter, an active man, a man who helped the Church where it was suffering, where it was being persecuted. Regarding the present situation of the family in Latin America, one can say it is undergoing persecution, which is causing too much suffering.
En países tan pobres como
It is difficult to carry out pro-life and pro-family programs in countries as poor as the Latin American ones, especially Peru. That's why it is necessary to obtain the solidarity and generosity from our churches, from Europe and the USA. Thanks to them we are able to transmit the voice of the Church, which is the family gospel, the gospel of life.
El evangelio de la familia, el evangelio de la vida.
The Catholic Church speaks about the family gospel to communicate its message of hope to families. This can be important as the sometimes daily challenges in matrimony can often be overlooked, and the enormous generosity of parents towards their children many times goes unrecognized. Particularly in Latin America, where these struggles are compounded by external burdens, including poverty, violence, lawlessness and corruption, the continent faces a choice: to succumb to a sense of futility or be inspired to seek new ways. In response, in Peru, as well as throughout the continent, Catholic couples have started to gather in groups for study and reflection. They seek to find the answers, as well as mutual support with which to face the increasing challenges to humanity.
Lo que es importante, y creo que es un elemento que también tenemos.
The family is based on matrimony. This is important and it should be highlighted. We must also consider what the Church has always emphasized. Matrimony, the heart of the family, is a vocation to sanctity. This is an important element of our pastoral job, which sometimes is not repeated as often as it should be. Each of us, through baptism, is called to be a saint. The universal vocation to sanctity is one of the greatest messages given by the Second Vatican Council. The priest is called to be a saint, the bishop is called to be a saint, the consecrated woman and the consecrated man are called to be saints, and everyone who is called to married life and forms a family is called to be a saint as well. This means then that along our lives we have to imitate the love of Christ. This love has to be loyal to the end and open to life.
From a religious point of view, the family has a transcendental value. The matrimony is a call from God, and fecundity is a commandment and a responsibility. This vision of the family is a natural community, constituent of the human person, and the base of society is intrinsic to the Latin American culture of today and tomorrow. This vision belongs to essential values which are not subject to economic and political interests.